later, we have Ruth taking a break, and we have two lovely guests in the studio. We have Claire Valentine and Sue Chatterton, and we're going to talk about setting up the exhibition. I'd like you to just introduce yourself and say a little bit about who you are. Okay, Claire?
Hello, so my name's Claire Valentine Gibson and my little art business is Claire Valentine Art. And I started up trying to pursue my lifelong ambition of being a full-time artist. I've had some exhibitions before, but this is the first really large one that I've done. So we all thought it would be great to give everyone listening a bit of experience about what it feels like to be a newbie, how nerve-wracking it is, and the sorts of things that we plan. So I paint ethereal art designed to transport your mind from the mundane to the magic.
Mm-hmm. And Sue?
I'm Sue. I paint under Sue Chatterton, but I'm actually Sue Weaver. So it becomes very confusing. I paint predominantly in watercolour. I teach watercolour, and I know that putting on an exhibition is really, really hard work.
Yeah, so there's lots to discuss. First decision was what to call the exhibition. That's before we even started, wasn't it? Let's be honest. We sat round eating curry. That's where we have our meetings. And we were like, what do we call it? How do we combine what we all do? Because to explain, you can actually see some of Claire's work in the background. Yeah, you can see that. I think you described it well, didn't you? Mystical, and you paint in oils, that sort of thing. Sue, I can see some of your work in the background as well. Yes, often based on South Africa, and you've got more wildlife type animals as opposed to you can.
And Scotland, because I lived in Scotland.
Ah, you lived in Scotland. Oh yes, at the top.
Highland cow.
Yes, yeah. I'm like I can't really see because they're part paintings. Some of these that are in the background, but I'm still nature inspired. But it's leaning towards abstract my work as well now. Oh, and I'm an acrylic mixed media artist. So we've got watercolor, oil, and we thought it would be great to have that different combination, and the three of us. So. We've literally, in fact, I think, oh yes, and sculptures as well. Sculptures as well. Let's have a look. So there we go, Ethereal Encounters.
Do you remember how we actually came up with the name? We put it into ChatGPT, didn't we?
Oh yes, we did. Yeah.
And it came up with a list of. We asked it a question on give us a good name for an exhibition that includes nature, magic, and mysticism. And it came up with a 10 different options, and we picked Ethereal Encounters as the one that fitted everybody's all together.
Yes, and also this journey through the wild, as in we all have different connections with that natural world, don't we? So it's quite interesting.
Yeah,
I find it interesting. It's fascinating that everybody has their own unique take on it, and also I think it's interesting the different mediums and how they sort of portray it as well. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, because it was yours, Deb, very much about bringing nature indoors. I think you had that on one of your collections at one point, didn't you?
Yeah, what happened was is that I have had an underlying health condition. I've still got that underlying health condition, but it meant that I was so poorly that I wasn't managing to get outside. And so part of my reason to paint and to bring it indoors was to do with not only seasonal, but for those who can't actually get out. I wanted to, and this is why I think it's moved a little bit further into the abstract sort of side of it, because I'm not just trying to capture a moment in time anymore. I'm trying to capture how it feels to be out in there, and I want that to be an experience people can have on the walls. So there is, very much that is part of my ethos. It's like I want to have that feeling you can get when you're outside and you're walking for everybody. Yeah,
like so, maybe the paintings are sort of a window into that outside world.
Yes, because that's another one of my collections is nature framed.
Oh, we go. I didn't know.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So I think that is also to do with that window out into the world. But sometimes nature itself frames a picture. So I'm quite interested in that sort of thing. So yeah. That's why I enjoyed doing Mitter Manor as well, because it was a formal garden, so you had framed pictures everywhere, and there was sculptures in the garden as well. So it's quite interesting, that juxtaposition. I get a bit deep sometimes. You'll have to excuse me. I've got a cup of tea here as well. What you can't see out there watching this is the fact that I've only just rushed through the door, much to Claire and Sue's. I don't know.
Oh, we sorted it out though, didn't we?
We did sort it out.
We wondered where you'd gone, because Sue and I, we can't talk to each other without you there.
Yeah.
Just looking at a black screen.
We're here now. I've had just it's like a new grandson, and I'm all like, just in my head, it's like all grandson at the minute. I'm like all family.
Baby brain.
Baby brain, that's it, baby brain, yeah. We've got a few notes down here, and it says how we came to actually know each other in the first place. So I knew Sue, I don't know whether I knew Sue before Sue knew Claire, but I knew Sue.
I think I knew Claire first.
So I met
I
Sue.
met Claire
2004? At Stafford Art Group, which I think was 2004.
Something like that, because I joined them in 2001.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I used to go to Stafford Art Group. I think it was a Friday night. Yeah. So I would go out there after work, and we just got talking, didn't we? Because it was quite clear that we'd got a similar viewpoints on life, and we were also wanting to do more with our artwork. We were wanting to make it not just a little hobby that you did on a Friday night, but something that was our entire business, and bringing our passion into a business that actually we could do full time.
And we both got that at the time.
And we were both working at the time, and determined to make it work. And that shared, I mean, this is all about sharing really, and that shared aim brought us together even more. And we went on to have a couple of small exhibitions, and we went on to teach some silk painting classes as well. And we've known each other ever since.
Since then, yeah.
Yeah.
So you had that knowledge that you wanted to do all of that right back then, really, and I completely was oblivious at that point.
Yeah. I did go to, I think I went to watercolour classes, definitely was doing stuff, but it was, that's quite a long time ago from my perspective, I think that, I don't know when I started going to Sue's class. I started to go to the watercolour classes. Possibly. Yeah, I can't remember. Was it Braidley? Because I don't think you ever came to Wolseley Bridge.
No, I think. So I think that I came, whenever you started Braidley, I probably came then.
I think that must have been at least 10 years ago.
I've had a business since 2016, so definitely. Probably quite a lot longer than,
So, time goes so fast,
It does.
That's when I met Debs.
Yeah.
And then we met Debs because we were on a course together, and I had got an exhibition in Stone, and you messaged me to say, I didn't realise you lived so close to me, and you said you'd come along to the exhibition, which you did, and we had a coffee and got chatting, and then discovered that we both knew Sue.
Yes. So then we started going out.
Claire and I used to have curry evenings every now and again.
Yes.
So I don't know if our gate crashed on Debs and Claire, or Debs' gate crashed on Claire and my curry evenings. But
I think Claire just invited
we're now a
us
threesome for curry evenings.
Yes, it's definitely curry evenings.
Well, why not? If we were all interested in the same things, and we've all got a similar desire to get our artwork out there, haven't we? And have it shared and understood and enjoyed by other people. And that's quite a scary thing to do on your own when you haven't done it before. You don't really know where to start.
Very serious curry evenings, because we do discuss work and art.
Yes, because I think Sue and I used to occasionally get together before, but we were never quite as serious as when. So now Claire's with Claire. Now Claire's with us, so we'd have a coffee before and talk about everything else. But Claire now she'll go, what are your goals? How far?
What's our
action
plan? What have you done
since last time? What's the action plan?
Yeah, who's accountable for each action? What are the time scales?
And I'm thinking to myself, and what am I eating? Where's the menu? Yeah. It's fun though, isn't it?
It's got us to this point.
It
where,
really has.
Where
it
we
has.
feel that we're comfortable with how we all work together. We're committed to each other as much as we are to ourselves and the exhibition. And that we've all got different skill sets. We've all got different strengths that we can bring to organising something like this.
Yes, so on this exhibition, we are also going to do workshops and demonstrations. Yeah, workshops.
We haven't actually said where the exhibition is.
Oh, we haven't said. Oh, good
or
point.
when it is.
We're not very good at promotion. You'll find that me and Ruth aren't very good at promotion either. Yeah. The exhibition is in Shrewsbury at Bear Steps Gallery, and it's on
the first 2 weeks of February.
I just want to get it right. Yeah.
Of March.
The 2nd to the 15th,
of March,
actually, I've got
sorry.
here, of March. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So 2nd to the 15th of March. And
although it's actually open on the 3rd, isn't it? The 2nd will be setting up on the Sunday the 2nd.
Oh, well, let me look. Yes.
And Monday the 3rd is when everyone can come in and start to see the artwork all the way up
so
until the 14th.
Don't come on the 2nd. Yeah. I've put it on the... I better change that on the poster.
Have you put the 2nd?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
well.
Okay.
Well, people are welcome to come on the 2nd because they can help us hang.
They can help. And then that would be first-hand experience.
Yeah. Bring a hammer
and a nail.
and some string
steps.
And some steps.
Yeah, I'm just looking here because we are going to have a Meet the Artists on the Saturday. So there's always going to be one of us there. You're welcome to come at any time, but on the 8th we will actually have all of us there. Yeah, that's on the Saturday in the middle. If you're thinking about coming along and you want to meet us all and you want to, I think we're going to have a few nibbles actually on that day as well. So if you're hungry, come along on the... on the 8th. If you want to just come along and see one of us at a time, then any time we'll be there. And we haven't got the programme, but if you get onto one of our mailing lists, then we will let you know what workshops and whatever else we're doing as well. I'll put all the mailing lists and everything below so that you've got access to all of us. So 2 things. I think the advantage of a collective, and Ruth and I talk about this all the time, we talk about the fact that having people together is an advantage because I think it's because of the support and the knowledge that we talk about. But also with an exhibition, there's costs as well. I don't know if you can think of other advantages, but those are the advantages that spring to mind of working together. I think I wonder, because you're in a bigger collective, aren't you, Sue? And I wonder whether there are some advantages and disadvantages in sizes of collectives as well, because I suspect if you're trying to organise a lot of people, that might be harder. And you probably end up where just a couple of you do all the work and the others just contribute. That's what I'm guessing.
Or
I haven't organised. or not, yeah. Yes. So, and you have to be on top of whether they're bringing the work in or... Whereas with the 3 of us, it's working really well because I think we equally put quite a lot of effort in and we share out. Yeah?
I think there's like 3 things. So like the 3 C's, there's cost, confidence and commitment. So the cost is shared, so it's not such a big outlay and therefore not so frightening to spend a lot of money on an exhibition. Confidence, because we've not done it before, and when you've got people to bounce ideas off, you don't worry so much about forgetting something critical. And then the commitment to actually get it in the diary and show up and do it. It's very easy just to say, I'm a bit too nervous, I don't want to do it, it doesn't go on the calendar, the dates go by, you don't book anything. But you've got that commitment because you've agreed to do it with 2 other people, so you have to show up.
Yeah.
But there's also a sharing of knowledge. You know, like Debs is very good on Canvas, so she can design the leaflets, and Claire might be very good on the social media side, so she could do that. And yeah, there's just so much that doing it on your own is just a really, really big job. So
it's not just that, this is quite a big gallery. So
it is a big gallery.
If you had that gallery all by yourself, there's quite a lot of artwork to fill that gallery, which is okay if you're going to sell all the artwork, but I'm really worried about it filling the house. I mean, I know it sounds silly, but it is a consideration, isn't it? You know, Yeah.
Well, as in having a lot of artwork in your home stored ready to go to the exhibition.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's if it doesn't sell, then
Yes.
you've still got a load of artwork stuck, in your home.
Yeah, yeah.
But this exhibition's great because it's enough to give you enough space. We can still put a lot of artwork in, each of us. So it's really good. I think I'm looking forward to it, really. And I have started, you can see, they're only started, but the bigger ones, because I thought I didn't do too much before I knew that I could use them. Because it's not so much the fact that it's a lot of work, it is that you're doing it and then you want it to be shown or to something. Yeah, perhaps that's just me. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of space to fill, but then equally, like you said, Debs, you don't have to fill all of the space. Some pieces actually need quite a lot of space around them to be appreciated. Certain big pieces don't want to be cluttered with anything else in that field of vision. You want to be able to stand back and just see just that one piece. Whereas some of my sculptures are sort of that sort of size, so they'll be on a different viewing level. So you'll have paintings at, say, a 5-foot kind of eye level, some really big ones that you'll need to stand back to see, and then at more of a sort of a child's eye view level, there'll be sculptures. And other pieces perhaps laid down on tables as well. So, there'll be lots of different viewpoints for the artwork. Yeah. And because the gallery is not just one level, it goes up the stairs and round a corner and into another room. And it's a very old building. I think some parts of it are 16 something. Is it 1630 something or 1640? Medieval, anyway.
So that brings us to why we actually chose it in the first place. So I think the first thing, to be honest, was because you had a part of the collective and you were there. So you actually experienced the building. Sue?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's probably the start of it. And you rang me up, didn't you? And you said, we could do this. Yeah. And I think we started to talk about it, and then we were like, I wonder if Claire would want to do it with us. Yeah.
And then we had to convince Claire.
And because I was like, I'm not sure. And you two, because you'd both seen the gallery, were thinking, you just really need to be there. There's nowhere else that your artwork should go. It needs to be there.
Yeah.
And then when we went, I know, and then we went there to visit it.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
You're constantly, saying to us, what are we doing?
But that was the confidence piece, though, because I was thinking, it's a big exhibition. It's got to take a lot of work, and I've got to try and fit it into, having to run another job at the same time. And will I be able to take leave? Is that because I'm going to need the time? It just was going round and round in my head that, I'll just stay in my studio all safe, and I won't come out to see the world at all. But then when we got there, it was, oh my goodness, this building is amazing. And I get quite animated talking about it because round the corner is the shop called The Labyrinth, and it's run by a chap called Colin, and he sells all the Harry Potter merchandise. And I'm a massive Harry Potter fan. Like, I listen to the books and then again, and then I'll just listen to them again. It's like something that makes me feel happy and calm. It's my soother. And he's going to have some leaflets in there, but because his shop is so all about Harry Potter, it links very well to my part of the exhibition, which is inspired by Harry Potter. So my take on the Ethereal Encounters is very much inspired by some of the Harry Potter characters and scenes. So that whole building, as soon as I realised that there was this connection, it was just, boom, need to be there.
We knew you needed to be there.
But that's the thing of a collective, of working together, isn't it? It's the confidence, the commitment, and saying that yes, the accountability to then other people makes you then do that thing that you've been putting off, but that you really need to do as artists. We need to get our artwork out there. It's no good me just sitting here in my studio looking at my lovely little sculpture that I've made. I want people to see him and fall in love with him.
And I've been hiding behind my wall in the village, There's a great big wall down my garden. And I always say, I hide behind the wall because I haven't really got out there. We're starting to get out there, though. We're on YouTube, aren't we? We are starting to try our best to get known. So I'm quite proud of us, really. We haven't even done it yet. I think There is something a bit special about that Bare Steps gallery. And I think it is the fact it's quite quirky, isn't it? There's something that's nice about it. I do. So if you get an opportunity, do come and see us. That was a little bit of a plug.
Please, please, don't leave us there.
I've already got 2 people that have confirmed that they're coming to the Meet the Artist Day.
Oh, that's great.
So that's 2.
Yeah, I'm sure we will get loads once we start sending out invites and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just,
well, I've got it in my my diary to start the campaign. I've got a couple of days off work, so I'll be starting the campaign, newsletters, posts, and what I'll do is I'll start to tag you in to anything that I'm doing, and I'm going to start looking for groups, like we've said in the action plan. I'll be starting to do that and just push and push and push out and out and out and see who grabs. But there's one thing I learned from my owl campaign that I ran to raise money for the owl sanctuary, and that is you have to keep showing up with the same message, really the same message, every day, and often, in different formats, different forms and different places, until you think people must be bored, sick of seeing you. But they really aren't seeing you. You have to just keep going out there in order to try and catch more people.
And that's really, really weird, because I find it difficult. I do find it difficult. I know that I'm being seen more than I was, because you can look at your stats and everything, can't you? But naturally, I don't want to be in people's faces. So it's really quite hard to do that. But I've just, in fact, it's literally just, I was going to tell you about it. I've just joined Tailwind, because I've always done later as a scheduler. But Tailwind, you can see what we talk about over curry, can't you, everybody? I'm just
and our
husbands as well, so we go off and
and our husbands, when we say, I think I might be doing Tailwind to do the scheduling, but I need to download this thing, and then your husbands just look at you as if you've just come from another planet.
Have you used Tailwind, Claire? Have you used it? Yes. Yeah. So I've never used it before. And I had this lady, she contacted me and said, would you like a 20-minute sort of chat about Tailwind? That she's from Tailwind. And I was like, yeah, go for it. And she was like Tailwind on speed. It was like, and you can do this with it, you can do this with it, you can do this with it. I was like, whoa. But it is good, and I've had a little play, but it's blowing my mind slightly, because it's saying 5 to 25 posts a week. And I've never done 25 posts. I've done 5, but that's But then it also does repeat some of those posts in different boards, which is quite interesting. So it is very interesting how it works. But anyway, that's another matter. We ought to do a social media thing another day. But I thought when we were talking about this before, that one of the interesting things what strange places had we hung before, because we've been in exhibitions, all of us. We've not not exhibited, but they've been either that we're part of an exhibition where we've put art in, or it's been a bit more of a local thing. I think, Sue, you came to the one where I was in a church, so I've hung in marquees. When I was at Mitton Manor, I hung in a marquee in the middle of a flood. I think only 50 people turned up. That was not very good. But you couldn't actually get your cars through to get to the exhibition. So that was a bit of a washout. But generally, they have been quite successful, what we've done. We've done like the Four Villages Fates and all those sorts of things, but marquees or outbuildings, or the one time we did a church, and Sue did that with me, and that it looked really good, didn't it, Sue? It was
exhibiting in churches can be really, really good if you just know how to use the pews, cover them up with boards and all that kind of thing. You just got to think out of the box.
Yes, yeah. And what I found difficult about hanging in the church was the fact that you didn't want to in any way spoil the church, so you had to think about where you put. Well, we didn't really put nails in the church. We really thought about how to actually do it. We used the grid walls that Claire's got in the background there, the grid, and all sorts of things in order to be able to hang without hanging, if that makes sense. Although there were quite a few nails that we actually just used that were already in the church. But yeah. And I don't know, have you got any strange places you've hung, Claire?
Not really. I would quite like to hang in a church because I think it would suit my artwork really, really well. But I did have a bizarre idea once that I thought I could hire a 7.5 ton van with the hard sides, and then all along the inside where they normally put sort of racks and things for goods, you could hang along all the sides of the lorry, and you could drive around to different places and just open up the back, and people could walk up and have a look and walk out again.
Oh yeah, like an open
That's
lorry.
an excellent idea.
Yeah,
You could just rock up in a car park, couldn't you? Drop the tailgate and say, "Come for this pop-up exhibition."
Go to Shrewsbury on a Sunday morning.
Yeah, I do. I might do that. Just hire one for the day and just drive off somewhere and see what happens. But I saw a
hiring one
brilliant
and you're
idea.
hanging. You need it
That's a
for a bit
brilliant
longer than a
idea.
day.
yeah.
But you could leave it as a permanent exhibition. Maybe you'll have to buy one instead of the camper.
Well, and convert it so that you could sleep in it when you're not exhibiting in it.
Yeah, that's an
Not a
excellent
bad idea. Yeah.
Mm.
Crumbs. Well, that'd take a bit of investment and time to sort out, wouldn't it? I'd
Sorry,
say
Lee.
yeah, I was going to come home tonight. Husband, why we could buy a 7.5 tonner? What on earth for?
It's my gallery.
Yeah.
This is the new gallery.
Oh, but branding on the outside of it. I think the most unusual one that I saw, I was at the Mind Body Spirit Festival in November at the NEC in Birmingham.
Yes.
And there was a lady there exhibiting her artwork, and she had actually got a telephone box in London near the National Gallery, and she bought that telephone box when I think they were trying to sell them off many years ago. She paid £50 for the box, and it's her phone box, and so it's taken off the BT network. It's not owned by anyone but her. And she's got a few paintings hanging in there, and she's got a mechanism whereby she can lock it and unlock it remotely from an app on her phone, and she can turn the lights on and off, and she can speak. So she can open the gallery, albeit only one person can ever get in the gallery at once, but she can open the gallery. People can call her if they want to discuss a piece. She'll be there ready to talk, and then she can do the transaction over the phone as well. She can send them a payment link.
That's
They
an
pay,
unusual thing.
and then she said, well, so now take the painting off. It's yours. Off you go. And then she can lock up the phone box when she's finished and turn the lights off. And yeah, I thought, brilliant idea. So I looked into it, and of course, it costs an absolute fortune to do it now. She just was in the right place at the right time, with the money behind her and the right life circumstances, let's just put it that way, behind her, to be able to take advantage of that. She must have known the right people at the right time to know that that was available, and saw the opportunity and bought the phone box. And now you can. There's ones that you can buy or you can hire for usually like community events. They tend not to do it for businesses. But if you're a community, you could set up like a little library. People have done. So you could have a phone box collective gallery and have different artist paintings on the 3 walls. Obviously not the one where the glass is, because that's the door. It'd be quite cool, wouldn't it? Even if it was just a pop-up exhibition, it would be
about
like really
the size
cool.
of the painting.
You could only have a certain size, whatever size a phone box is. You couldn't go any bigger than that.
Yeah.
I'd love to do that. So I think in Harry Potter they can get
Go on,
into
Claire. There we are.
another one. Another plug.
There's a name for you. A name. Come on.
What for the
phone box. First top of the agenda for the next curry meeting.
the
Where's your
name for the phone box?
No,
Yes.
not the name. Where's it going to be?
You want
have
it
to
in
find
I
one.
think you want it in a city where there's a lot of
Yeah.
footfall.
Yeah.
That would be quite good to do. I'll have to have a look and see, but it would need to be done as a community collective. We couldn't run it as a business.
We can do that.
We can do that. Definitely do
We can.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
I'll add that to the list.
So that brings us on to, I think we need to discuss preparing to exhibit. And I think there's so much to discuss here. So this is what this whole podcast was going to be about. And we've talked quite a lot about other things and how we've known each other and all that sort of thing. And we've talked quite a lot about curry, and I do realise.
Haven't put an advert in for which curry restaurant.
Oh yeah. We go to Simply Belash quite a lot,
We
don't we?
do.
And stuff, and it is quite good. But I'm just looking here at we've split this into several things. So because this is a fairly big place that we're exhibiting in, we had to allocate space, and this must be something that all people who are organising the exhibition, as opposed to like sometimes you're just showing, aren't you? So you're providing your artwork. People must have to plan the logistics of it all, because of the dropping off, the picking up, the space, who's allocated what space, and how they actually do that. But we've been involved in that sort of side of it, but on a smaller scale, I suppose, is the difference, really. So I'm going to go to Sue, because you've done quite a bit of organising with Stafford Art Group as well, haven't you? So lighting as well. I'm going to ask you about lighting, because I think that from people at home, what they want to know, that's what I'm thinking. So
Lighting is a big consideration when you are looking for a gallery. So if you're hanging in a church or in a village hall, you've really got to think about it, and very often you end up having to use portable lighting and having leads around the place. In a gallery like Best Steps, the lighting is actually quite good. So it's all set up for you, and it's set up for artwork. Now, interestingly, I have an exhibition coming up at Western Park in April, and the lighting there is awful.
is it?
Yeah, it's the Rose Patterson Gallery. So it's an official gallery. They've got all these fancy spotlights and that, but the shadows that they cast are not really very good.
That's the one. Sorry, I'm just saying, that's the one that the International Watercolour, when they did it there, that gallery, that top, before they went to is it Tattershaw Hall? Yeah, Tattershaw.
Lilyworth. What? Oh,
Lillyshaw.
Lillyshaw, thank you.
Is it Lillyshaw?
Lillyshaw, yeah.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, so lighting is a very, very big thing when it comes to hanging an exhibition, and there's no right way or wrong way. Stafford Art Group has spent a lot of money on different kinds of lights, because your lights vary depending if you're shining them onto glass of watercolours or oils, or it's a minefield.
And I've done, when I was in the marquee, and we literally had a white marquee to hang, and it was quite big, and you know, all of a sudden you're like, how do you actually hang these pictures off what are basically bars in a marquee? It wasn't like, we didn't then have booths in there. It was just, I'd got this marquee to hang. And that was, how do we actually, I've got like hooks on the back, and we made up the wires to do it because it was easier than the things that are available. Although I have found things since then that are actually quite good. But I suddenly realised that the lighting was dreadful, and I didn't want to spend a lot of money. And so what I did was we went out and we got some external white lighting that you'd use, you know, the ones with the PIRs, but you can get them without PIR.
Yeah.
And we just bought a couple of them, and I was amazed that it did make a difference. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that everybody who has an exhibition should go out and buy external white lighting. But if you haven't got much money, it's still better to have lighting. So you know, if you're on a budget, you still need to consider your lighting. And it was an answer. I went to B&Q and got a couple of lights, and it does make a difference. It's surprising. Yeah.
Many years ago, I organised an exhibition at, I don't know what the hall is called, in Penkridge. It's opposite where they do the market, and there were about 10 of us, and I organised it for us. Anyway, on the evening, we hung on the Friday evening, and we suddenly thought, oh no, the lights in here aren't going to be anywhere near good enough. So we went to Traction Hire and hired lights on great big pedestal things as a last-minute desperation.
Yeah, it is that last-minute thing, and you go, oh my goodness, no, my lights are terrible, this lighting. Because it does make such a difference. I did, it was like an open gardens thing in the summer, and I borrowed from Lydia, because I was like, I've got to have some sort of just gazebo. and I borrowed her gazebo. We'd bought in the past a white one, but because I wasn't using it very much, it was in the shed and the shed gets a bit damp. We'd got rid of it to somebody. Anyway, the only gazebo she'd got was a green and white stripe gazebo. So I'm like, okay, that's going to have to do, right? And the way it changed all the paintings, and I was like, no, but some of them look better, you know. It sounds awful. So some of them, but it was interesting because you definitely have a difference. And then I just had to play with what paintings were where to make it look good, because I just didn't have the lighting and didn't have any power, and it was completely different. You just have to make do sometimes, don't you?
Yeah, I suppose that's the thing when you've got gazebos. So I've got an event in May and I'll be in a gazebo and there's no power, so I couldn't even go out and hire lights. I've got nowhere to plug them in.
We did have power on that one in.
Yeah.
Yes.
So my gazebo is a cream colour, because my view is that will sort of bring in as much light as possible, and it's got windows and things in it, but
cream or white's okay in a gazebo. That'll be fine.
Just praying for the light to be good. I mean, it is May, so hopefully the light will be, natural light will be quite good.
Well, this was, when was it? I'm not going to tell you. I think it was May, and it might have been April. I don't know. It was May. It was May because it was before the painting holiday, and there was a bit of a storm blew up at the end, and somebody's gazebo, literally, because they hadn't pinned it down at the edges. So do pin your corners, right? It whipped away off her stall. And we were at the end for the last half an hour. Everybody just went, we've got to take it down. And I was like, oh my goodness, I've got to take this down in the storm. We did it. It was okay. Dry your paintings off when you get home. Yeah. And this sort of fun you get. I think. And I remember going to Manchester. I went with Claire to Manchester Art Fair. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And we went in there, and I looked, and there was like these, because obviously in an art fair you've got booths. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, this is so easy. This is so easy. Compared to what we do.
Literally just go in and put it on. It's like all designed for you.
Yeah.
I'm taking weights, I'm taking pins, but I'm also taking a husband who, when he puts something up or puts something in the ground, it will never move. It'll be in rock solid. It's like put in with the strength of an elephant. It'll be absolutely rock solid. So I'm not worried about the gazebo taking off.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Claire. I love the way you say, I'm taking weights, I'm taking pins, and I'm taking
and I'm taking a husband.
He's my husband.
Check.
Yeah, it's on the list. Taking husband for the muscle power and the organisation. He's really good at deciding how things should be laid out. Because he actually commented. Yeah, he is. I was very surprised, but he's really good at it. Because when I had an exhibition, 3 pieces in Ely, the great big plane tree painting that I did, which is quite a dark painting. It's a big oil, 1 metre by 1 metre. And I wasn't responsible for the curation of the event. And that's the thing, the way we're doing it, we're curating it. But when you put artwork into other exhibitions and you're not curating, your work just gets put up.
Yes.
And when I got there, they put my painting on the wall behind the counter where people would put their names and pay and have a coffee and things. And it just didn't look like it was for sale. It was in totally the wrong place. It looked like someone had already bought it and it was just there for show. And Lee had a word with the people that were curating and said, not really sure that that's in the right place. And we moved it. And we moved it to the entrance to where people walk in. And I think there's some study somewhere that says people naturally walk into a space and the majority of people turn left and go round clockwise. I'm sure there's a study somewhere that's shown that happens.
I'm just thinking about what you do, yeah.
And so we put it on an easel against a big green background on its own. It was the only painting there on its own. And everybody came in, and I could see people did start to turn left and go clockwise around the exhibition. And loads of people walked past it, and I was there and had conversations about it with lots of different people. And that's another consideration for your exhibition, is arranging it so that you as the artist can be there and you can have a conversation with someone that's come to look at the exhibition, because the conversation is usually the thing that sells the artwork, because it's building that connection to somebody you don't know. So that's another consideration with exhibitions, is how can you make it accessible for conversations?
That's why it's so important to have an artist presence at the exhibition, and not just to put your paintings up and leave it. You do need to talk to people.
Yeah.
And that is the hardest thing to do. It's how do you go and approach somebody as they walk in? You know what, you need an opening gambit. So if you are painting or if you're demonstrating, naturally people will come up and look to see what you're doing, and that's your intro.
Yeah.
You might
Yes.
not get much painting done,
Yeah.
but you're talking to
People
people.
are naturally, they're inquisitive, because to people
Yeah.
that aren't artists, it's like alchemy. You know, they can't understand how it's possible for somebody to take some paints and a brush and produce something that they can look at on a wall. They've got no idea how to do it. So their curiosity is spiked when they see somebody doing it, because you want to then go and watch to see if you can figure out how it's done, like a magic trick.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I haven't talked to you about it yet, but I was thinking about having a few, rather than the workshop idea that we're obviously going to do as well, having a few things that people could have a go, like a little have a go thing. I thought that might be quite nice, but obviously we'll discuss that over curry sometime. Yeah, we've still got to sort out the workshops and that, haven't we? But yeah, it's quite... I think people do like to talk to artists. I do think they like to actually have a chat, but you are very conscious when you of not just going up to people as well. It's really difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's what Sue said is right. It's your presence there, and then when somebody has perhaps not just walked in, maybe they've stopped and they're pondering over a piece. If you look at professional art galleries, the gallerists that are in there will wait until somebody's sort of loitering by a piece, and then they'll sort of go up to them and then say, oh, this piece was created by so and so after he had a fall and lost the use of his right arm for a long time, and he was actually right-handed, so he started to paint left-handed, and then he produced this piece, and the emotion that came through overwhelmed him that he actually switched hands and used his left hand from then on to paint, and this is the first piece that he painted in that way. And there's a story, you know, there's like straight away there's some interest, and then comes a conversation with, you know, this piece is the original and it's available for this amount, and then they wait for maybe the and the R of perhaps person's not able to spend that money or doesn't have that money. Then there's a conversation about, and in our catalogue, and we do have different size prints of this piece as well, and then they point them to the catalogue, and it's that whole. Then it's like a sales pitch, isn't it? That sales pitch then starts to happen, but it starts with a conversation around the piece of artwork and getting them to answer questions so that the dialogue happens. That's the bit that sells the artwork.
You're in charge of sales, Claire.
I'm going to say, I don't like this sales pitch thing. I'm like, I'll talk about the art. That's fine.
It just feels like it does. It's what it felt like.
What did you say, Sue?
Give us some lessons, did you say?
I said we might have to get some lessons before the exhibition.
It's just conversations, and it's so hard because a lot of artists are just naturally introverted, and they paint because they like to spend time making their own magical world in their own little space, and actually asking them about, oh my God, I've got to talk about my artwork. I just want to paint. I don't want to say anything about it. Please don't get me to tell. I don't know where it came from. It just came out the brush and there it is. You know, have a look. But you kind of have to. And I found that the more people that walked past my tree, the easier I found it to say, it's quite an impressive piece, isn't it? And then they can either reply,
I would find that difficult to say.
It is, but when you're on your own and there's your artwork there, you're not being big-headed. You're just saying, you know, it's quite a big piece. It's quite a statement, do you think?
Yeah.
And then they can either say, oh, no, it's not really my thing, and then they walk off. Or they can say, yeah, I like this about it. Then you might ask them a question, and then you can say, no, I painted this. I painted it in this way. Then they realise that you're the artist without you saying, "This is my painting." You're saying, "Oh, I made the turrets out of this material," and then they realise, "Oh, you made it. That means you're the artist." Oh, and straight away they know that they're talking to the person that's created it.
And how do you feel if they say, "Oh no, it's not my thing"?
You just have to let them move on. No, but nobody does, because
Yeah.
nobody will really stop and look at something, and then, especially in a small gallery. I think in great big galleries, when I've done it myself, I've walked up to a piece and I've thought, I really do not like that. But if somebody asked me a question about it, I'd explain why I didn't like it. And I think you have to be a bit tough, don't you, as an artist, to say, well, they don't like it, but there's others that do like it, and it's the ones that do that I want to have the conversations with. So if it's not their cup of tea,
I think
let them
sometimes
move on.
yeah, and if it's not their cup of tea, you can tell it's not their cup of tea. But sometimes it's interesting to see why somebody doesn't like it as well. That's interesting. So, yeah.
You get a bit of market research done that way, don't you? 'Cause if somebody says, I don't like it at all because I really don't like orange, and orange makes me feel ill, I don't like it, and it's got orange in it. I like things that are blue. So that same painting done in blue may well be something that they'd say, oh yeah, it's lovely, I love the design, but I just didn't like it in orange.
Yeah,
And
Ruth had.
yeah.
Sorry, I was going to say Ruth had somebody. She did I think it was Edinburgh Festival. I think, yeah, in the Fringe. I think it was, and somebody came up to her and said, your paintings are too bright. People in Scotland don't like bright paintings. She was like, really?
I don't
really?
think so.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a
But
massive generalisation for people in Scotland, isn't it?
Absolutely. She said, well, she didn't come back to him to say that. And she's like, what about the Scottish colourists and this? And she, Ruth knows about like lots of different art movements, and she's like, that's just not true. So I think also we need to talk about getting the artwork ready. So we've talked a bit about talking to people, and we haven't mentioned too much about inviting people, but there's quite a lot of letting people know that we're actually there. So we're in the preparation of doing all of that, and we don't have to go into that in great detail, but we were just talking posters, and we will be sending out to mailing lists and that sort of thing. But the artwork, it's quite interesting to talk about getting the artwork ready. So you said something interesting earlier on about the fact that your art all has to be framed, yeah?
Yeah.
Because it's watercolour, so it's got to be...
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got to have mounts on it, yeah?
It's got to have a mount,
let you...
it's got to have a frame, yeah. So it makes it that much harder to transport as well. So you've got to factor in time for framing, so you're looking at least a week for somebody, by the time you take it to somebody, they frame it, you go and you fetch it. It's also quite expensive compared to just a canvas. A canvas might cost more than a piece of paper, and framing is it's an art in itself.
It is.
So we won't go into that.
You can go into it a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, colour-wise and the type of frame, and whether you have a sort of off-white mount or you choose something else.
I sometimes put my paintings onto a digital framing website and put them into different colour mounts and different kinds of frames, and then you can actually see them with different things around them, and it's amazing how framing alters the look of a painting.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, it does make a massive difference. They do. I use Brampton framing. I think they're the Brampton framing, but you can upload an image and place your artwork in a mount and the frame of your choice, and you can swap all different things out, and it gives you a really good, clear mock-up on how your work's going to look, and it does make a huge difference. But it's expensive. It is expensive to get something with mount and frame, and then backed, and then strung, ready to arrive and go straight on the wall.
Yeah.
Oils are similar, because some oils, like I've got one behind me, it's got a thick frame that the canvas is stretched over. They call it a chunky canvas, and I paint the sides of that and just hang it on the wall. So I don't need a frame for those pieces. You can frame them, but you don't need a frame. But when you've got, like, this is a canvas board, so it's thin, you need a frame for that. And I was getting a bit like Sue. The frames are costing a fortune to take them to a framer's and have a really nice frame put on it. You're like £80, £100 for a 12 by 16 at least, and that just adds more and more cost. So that's when I started making these, frames. The frame underneath
Yes.
is just a really economical frame, an Amazon Basicsy type frame, and
Yes.
I sculpt over the top, and that
They
enables
look
me
fantastic as well, don't they? Oh, can we see the back slightly?
see the back.
Just because if you actually look at the backs, because this is the same for all of us, because although Sue said it's easier in some ways for us, it does depend, because like I will do the same if I've got a canvas board, I still have to frame, and we don't have the same mounting things. Obviously, if you're using acrylic or mixed media and you're doing it on paper, you then still have to mount. But if we look here, this is the D-rings that you have to put on the back, and you obviously tie on string or wire to...
So I've done this myself. I bought the D-rings. I think I bought them from Brampton on Framing Online. So you have to put the D-rings in yourself, screw them in, either use string or framing wire, but you've got to mount the painting, fit it inside the frame. And I haven't done this very well. This is just for show, so I can hang it on the wall without the painting falling out. You have to use tape to secure it over the top, and then you might want to put something on the back, for example.
There's something else to consider. Just hold it up again, Claire.
The back.
Just like that. So when you come to actually physically hanging an exhibition, if you put your D-rings on, so I always put my D-rings on 15 centimeters from the top.
Oh, right, okay.
And I always make sure that my wire or my string is taut so that there's no give in it.
Like there's too much give there.
Yeah, there's too much give in that. Now, the reason for that is if you've got a painting where one painting is 15 centimeters and the other is 20, when you come to hang them on the wall, that they're all going to be at different heights because you're starting with something that's different. So it's just much easier if everything is standard. So when you hang, and also if your string is too loose, you will find that and you hang it on a nail on a wall, there's the potential that that part where Claire's finger is will then be showing above the frame.
Yes.
So good idea to keep it as taut as possible.
Yeah.
And it's all things like that that make the actual physical hanging the exhibition on the day that much easier.
So I would redo this, and I'm going to move the D-rings down, and I'll be using framing wire that I can pull really taut, so it won't move from there. And
there's another reason for doing it, for measuring where you do it, is if your D-rings are too far down, your painting is going to hang at an angle instead of flat against the wall. So you need to work that out as well.
That's interesting, Sue, because I've always done mine just a third down, and obviously I'll have paintings that are from 12 by 12 to a metre by a metre. So that's quite a big difference if I was to hang at 15 centimetres all the time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But I do have the problem where it tilts. And what we sometimes do is we just tape the back when you've hung it. But it is fiddly. It's really fiddly.
It's fiddly.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I end up putting blue tack and all sorts of things, behind the
just
flame to try and keep it. Yeah.
These are things people don't see when they just when they walk around, and you spend ages before doing all of that. I mean, we haven't even got to labels, have we, or anything like that?
That's just another,
It's just another thing, that you need to do. But
and then, of course, there's the miracle that is command tape. Have you ever come across that? It's like it's like a Velcro thing. So you stick it on the back of your painting, and the other half sticks to the wall, and then you can just stick your painting. You just sort of stick it on. And you can take the painting off, and the strips will stay there, and you'll stick it back up. I suppose it's a bit like a blue tacky type. You're sticking it straight to the wall you're not hanging it on anything. You're just fixing it to the wall.
That's only okay if you've got quite a light painting.
No, you get different command tape depending on the weight of the painting. So on the package,
even really heavy ones.
Well, I don't know about 20 kilos, but on the package it will actually tell you the weight that they will hold and how many strips you need. The negative of that is it's very expensive.
Yeah, because you need sort of quite a few strips to be able to put the painting on. But you still have to have your painting ready to hang, because you're hoping a customer will buy it and take it home, and they're not going to put it on their wall with command tape. They're going to hang it on a picture book.
No. So you've still got to have it ready.
Yeah. That's a learning for me, that is, Sue, about the distance down. I'll have to look at that. But definitely the sort of the I can't think of the right word, the slackness of the string. It must be absolutely
It needs to be as
taut.
taut as possible.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that's interesting for me as well. I knew about the tautness, but the 15 centimetre thing, I wonder whether that would work for the bigger paintings.
That's just what I've discovered. It seems to be the optimum, where they sort of hang as close as possible flat against the wall. Because there's nothing worse. You know, if you've gone to all the trouble of actually framing your painting, and somebody comes and, I'm going to buy that painting, and then they take it off the wall, and you haven't even taped the back of it, and you've just got a tatty old piece of whatever for the string. It's not professionally finished.
No.
And I wouldn't want to sell anything that wasn't right. So if you're going to command a decent price for something, you need to do it properly.
It needs to be as professional on the back as it is on the front.
On the front. So it's, there's so much that goes into it that people don't see.
And I think it's quite interesting, because now I'm looking at the walls behind, and in all three of us, we're hanging in different ways behind. Mine's on my painting wall, so it's a little bit different. But Sue's got the hooks. If people actually look behind Sue, you've got this is probably what we'll be doing, using at bare steps, that sort of the little hook things and then you've got your wires hanging down. And there'll be a hook behind on the sort of string or wire that Claire's just shown you. And then Claire's got grid walls there, which we won't be using at bare steps, but are quite good from a portable viewpoint. But there's like those clip rail things you see in galleries as well, which are quite similar to what's behind Sue's, but they've got tiny little hooks that hook in. It's just a different hanging system, really, so you can get all these hanging systems. I noticed though, Sue, that you've only got because I often with certain sized pictures you need two sometimes, because you've got one there on those pictures.
I've only got one.
Those paintings
Bigger
behind
paintings you would need two.
You would need two.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is you really need to go and have a good look at the gallery before you turn up and hang. You need to know, because every gallery is different. Can you just knock nails into the wall? Some galleries will say, just knock. Even like at Western Park, you can just knock nails into the board, because they've got these special boards that they move around. And then they paint them after every exhibition, so it doesn't matter. And on the outside walls, they've got the wires. So you really need to go and discuss, if it's a gallery, you need to discuss with the gallery how and what you are allowed to do.
Yes, so when we did Amateur Artisans, at first I was trying to hang them like this, and we were trying to hang quite quickly, because we were open. We only had about half an hour before it was open. And then we realised that they didn't really mind putting nails in the walls, and it was so much faster to
It is
hang
so
everything.
much faster.
Yeah, but obviously sometimes you can't do that. And we won't be able to do that, I don't think, at bare steps. So
no, I think they just, from memory, they use the hanging.
I think so. There is hanging stuff going around. So yeah, I think I'm going to go up again just to check that. Actually, that's the only thing that I can think that I need to double check, just to make sure that we've got enough hanging stuff. So yeah. We'll come up and see you, Sue, because you're in an exhibition just before, aren't you?
Yeah, well, the first 2 weeks of February.
Yeah. So we can do that, perhaps,
So
Claire,
I've
if you're
just
free.
got all the paintings ready for that. So my list is in. That they're all ready to go.
We'll come and see you in February, Sue. I can bring my flyers and drop those off at the same time, and it'll give us some time. And if we do need to buy any ourselves of the hanging wires, it'll give us time to get them as well, won't it?
Yeah, I think we might need
they've got
to.
extras.
Have they?
That's the kind of thing that we can talk to them about.
Yes, because I've definitely got quite a few, but I don't know whether I've got enough. That's the So you're obviously choosing different things beforehand, because what we haven't said is we've also got not the same exhibition. We've got an exhibition in the same place in beginning of September, isn't it?
September. Mm.
Yeah. So that's another interesting thing as to what we do for September. But I'm just wondering if, I've got getting ready, framing, artwork, inviting people, pricing, hanging. Yeah, we've covered quite a lot. I think we may be on to takeaways, unless there's anything else that
I think there was just the logistics of the artwork. So if, like me, you've got a small car but you've got some big paintings, you can't just load up your car and trot off, because it just won't fit. So you have to consider the sizes of the paintings and how much space you've got in your vehicle, and whether you need to borrow a vehicle, or whether you've got a different vehicle in your household to use. I mean, we're very fortunate that we've got a camper van. So again, husband has been asked to support. So on the Sunday, to drive me in with all of the paintings, all of the artwork in the camper van on the Sunday, allow me to drop everything off and go in, and he's going to go and then park the camper van somewhere safe. And I don't know what he'll do at that point, whether he'll, I don't know, go for a...
come and help hang.
Well, I did say,
I
said that you'll be, your muscle would be very much appreciated if you could go and park up the camper van somewhere and then come to the gallery and help us get everything put up, and then we go home at night. And I know we're using park and ride, aren't we? So there's all these things you have to consider. How do you physically get into where the gallery is? Where can you leave your vehicle so it's safe and you're not going to be charged for parking somewhere wrong? How do you get from the car park to the gallery? All of these things have to be planned. And then the same on the way back. Hopefully the taking down will be a lot quicker because things will have sold. But it's still,
it's always quicker than going up.
You've still got to consider the taking back of things and the packaging that you need to make sure everything gets there safely. So whether it's bubble wrap or bags or boxes for sculptures, all of those things, you need to have those ready so that you can be wrapping up this of the few days before, to get all of your artwork ready and loaded up, ready to go.
Yeah. I think we're organised though, aren't we? We've got a lot planned.
Yeah, it'll come together.
It will come together. I've just got a few big paintings to finish. But, when I get a concerted amount of time, it'll be great. It's having grandchildren and Christmas has been quite... and having a new grandbaby. So it all becomes you've got to give yourself that space, haven't you, to get it all done. But I think we've planned it quite well, and it's always easier because we've done exhibitions, different sorts of exhibitions before, and it's always easier the next time, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this is the first time we've done at this scale. I mean, we know a lot because we've already hung paintings and we've already done the backs of paintings and all of that. But it's interesting. So I think now I'm going to move on to takeaways. Ruth and I find that when we're having these chats, we often learn something. So I found my takeaway from this is it's quite interesting, your 15 centimetre thing about maybe there's a way that I can put those D-rings that will stop it from doing that tilting thing, which I hadn't even considered. And I think other than that, I probably hadn't actually thought about the whole picture in the same way. We've done a lot of breaking it down, haven't we, because whilst we've been planning, and it's just been really, really lovely to have you on the podcast as well. So that's been really lovely, because I think what I've noticed is you can tell that we're very comfortable together and that we've sort of worked together, and it is just really lovely to have you here. So those are my couple of takeaways, and then I'm going to go over to one of you. I don't know who wants to go first. Have you got a takeaway? Yeah, Claire?
No, so my takeaway, I was very much on the hanging thing from Sue. I'd not really thought about actually measuring the distance when I do a lot of paintings that are on the same size of canvas, and I find that quite helpful using the same size of canvas, because it's easier to swap frames in and out then because they automatically fit. So that's one takeaway. But I think the second is the importance of getting the message really clear about what the exhibition is about, where people can find us, and then how to get that message out to people so that people know to come and see us. So my takeaway, I've been thinking about it as we've been talking, which is often happens when you have discussions, is to plan the campaign a bit differently to how I thought I was going to do it, and to get Facebook groups involved much earlier on, so that by the time it comes to March, people know about the exhibition, they know who we are, what artwork we're putting in. So if there's artwork that they like, that they've seen us with, and they can actually come and see it, they know that they can come and see it, and the style of the artwork. So it's clear to people what they're going to come to see. I think that's the most important thing that we need to work on between now and the actual exhibition is, what is Ethereal Encounters about, and what can I learn from it? What am I going to see? Why should I come? What's exciting for me, and why should I come to see the exhibition?
Yeah, and I think a bonus with the exhibition is it's not just an exhibition. There are going to be demos, there's going to be workshops, there's going to be things that people can actually interact with as well. So they don't necessarily have to, I mean, obviously you want them to come because you want them to see the art, but they can also interact with us. They can interact with paint, hopefully, frankly. If they want to have a go, they can have a go, you know, so that's really exciting. Yeah. Anything else, Claire, before have you got? I think that's quite a lot anyway.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. So have you got any takeaways, Sue?
I think my biggest takeaway is not to stress about anything, because it's so easy to stress and then just not do anything, because it's like having an exhibition can just feel overwhelming. But if you take it one step at a time, it comes together, which is the best part of having a cooperative, you know, like the three of us. Whenever you're feeling, oh, no, I can't do this, then you just chat to one of the others and they bring it all together, and suddenly it's, oh, yeah, it's doable. So it's don't stress, have fun and enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. Because
I was definitely worried about the amount of paintings we needed, but once we started allocating spaces and deciding what it felt all very, very doable. And that was just talking to each other, really. And I definitely was frightened to do anything like this on my own, I'll be honest. Definitely. This is really good working together. Yeah, I really like it. So before we go, I do want to just remind people there's a couple of things. Claire has got an offer, so I think I'm going to go over to Claire and ask her about that first.
My artwork is, as you've seen already, just a quick reminder of the sorts of things that I paint, is very mysterious and ethereal, but it's also, it emphasises my fascination with Harry Potter. So I've got an offer for people.
Claire, no, I've lost Sue.
No,
it's all right.
So I've got an offer that's running because my exhibition is going to be about inspiration from the Harry Potter films. A lot of my paintings feature various elements from those films. And there's a shop just around the corner from the gallery called The Labyrinth. And The Labyrinth sells all the Harry Potter merchandise. And if you go into that shop, you can pick up one of these leaflets from, say, the middle of February, they'll be in there. And this leaflet will give you 10% off any of my pieces of artwork. All you need to do is go to the Labyrinth shop, pick up a leaflet, bring it to the Bear Steps Gallery, choose the piece of artwork that you want and show this when you pay, and they'll take 10% off.
And Sue, you're planning to do watercolour workshops?
Yeah, I'm planning to do just some hour-long watercolour have a play workshops. Everything will be provided, and it's just a, turn up and go, so I'll be advertising those on the days that I'm there.
You're planning a cost to those workshops. How's it going to work?
Yeah, it'll be £5 or £10.
Yeah, something quite nominal.
Just to cover the cost of the materials.
Yeah, which is great. So and I'm planning to do, we will have some sort of programme that we'll put together, but I'm planning to possibly do sort of try out demos. Again, probably just like a £5 towards materials really and stuff like that. And I'll have things that are out so people can just try different mixed media things, and I might actually bring a little bit of cold wax and that sort of thing, so people can try some different stuff. That's what I was thinking. That's going to be. And I might even do a bit of power text, Claire, just to like give people a go.
Yeah,
That'll
I think
be a bit of fun.
If people can have a little dip into different types of art materials, that would be great. I'm definitely
Yes.
going to be bringing an easel and a canvas and painting whilst I'm there. So I like to get people involved when I'm painting. So if anyone comes up to me and they suggest perhaps, or could you add an owl into the forest, then I'll add an owl. Or maybe they might want a unicorn coming out of the forbidden forest. So we'll
Be
paint that
careful
in.
what you wish for, Claire. I can see a whole list.
Well, it'll be it'll all be on quite a smallish scale because it'll be a very big canvas, so we can probably fit in most requests.
Yeah, I did one time. I did where we'd got a canvas and it was like a meadow, and I got different people to add different flowers, and that was quite fun because at the end of the exhibition, we'd actually got a flower meadow that other people had created. You know, that's quite good. Maybe we'll do something like that as well. So we will keep you informed of what's going on, and if you want to know any more, I'm going to remind you of what there it is. I'll just remind you, remember that I have actually got the date wrong on this, so it does start on the 3rd, not the 2nd. But I'm going to put this up again, sort of, see if I can just hold that up for a moment. And so it's on the March 3rd to the 15th. And a trio of artists, that's us, Ethereal Encounters, a journey through the wild, and we will be at Bear Steps Gallery. So please come and join us. The Saturday in the middle of that, we'll all be there, so you can come and see us, and you can have a whole list of things for Claire's painting. That'll be quite interesting. I might think of a few myself.
Yeah, do.
Yeah. Okay, and on that note, I think unless anybody's got anything to add, I'm going to say goodbye for now. Thank you for joining us. Thank you so much for being in the studio, and see you soon.